I think if I had to pick a key word for season 2025, I think it's going to be hard to go past the word flex. Huge. I don't play BBL. I know they've got the flex position there. I don't know if it's the same, different, whatever it might be. I've played a lot of NFL fantasy where flex is just part and parcel of every single season. I actually love it in the NFL. I think it's great. I think it's going to be unreal for Supercoach as well. Timbo, give us your first of all, what be thee? Secondly, what are your thoughts?
First of all, hoorah. Thank God and congrats to those at Supercoach headquarters, because this needed to happen for about 4 years. We've been lobbying for it, and I think every Supercoach has since just, the crackdown on head knocks and these sorts of things, and injuries and high suspensions have come about, and easier send-offs and simians, all sorts of stuff. It's needed to happen because you get a concussion 5 minutes into a game and it's your skipper, and it can just kill you. Yeah. And it really just brings luck way too much into the equation. So basically what the flex is you, on the website, it says select an 18th player from any position as your flex player. Your starting lineup will now consist of 18 starters rather than the normal 17. Your team will score points from your best 17 each round, with your flex providing additional cover and strategies when managing your squad. Essentially, you've just got a +1. So as it said, your best 17 from your 18 score points. So if you have a player who plays 5 minutes, they get a head knock, they go off, that person is just going to drop out of your final 17 at the end of the round. Of course, you only have one of them, but it just reduces the impact of being hit by early injuries, head knocks, send-offs, whatever it might be. Now, it's not specifically for head knocks or injuries. You might have a player who gets a head knock 5 minutes into a game, but he's scored a try and he's on 40 points. You might have someone who plays 80 minutes but gets 13 points. Yep. The 13 drops out, not the head knock person. But it's just given us a bit of insurance and taking that luck factor out of the game. So there will be a lot of strategies that we'll throw out across the preseason as we look into it more and more and more and get an idea of it and listen to different opinions. But in a nutshell, that's what we're looking at.
And just to echo what Timmy said, summarised it well, I think shout out to the people at Supercoach. I know we're all very quick to bag them when we think we're owed a try assist or something happens.
It's the
Scapegoat every time, yeah. But I think they've absolutely nailed this. Whether it should have happened 2 years ago or not, whatever, it's happened now. Yeah. I think it's going to be a big positive. I've still seen, and it's a loud minority, I get it, for people online complaining, what if I get 2 head knocks? Shut the fuck up. If you get 2 head knocks, you're unlucky.
It'll happen.
Shit happens.
At least you got rid of one of them.
At least you got rid of one of them, deal with it. It's part of the game. It's also part of rugby league. It's part of your fantasy game. Get over it. I think they've done really well with this. I think it's going to be successful. You mentioned to me strategy behind it. For me, the way I've been looking at it and the sort of conversation I've seen online with people and even just my mates I've spoken to, it seems to be, do you use the flex spot for a cheapie or a gun? I think for most people, when we say gun, you're saying fullback gun. And I think that's to be honest with you, yes, it's good. It can cover the HIA thing. But for me, I find it more appealing now that you can vice captain and captain 2 fullbacks. That's what I find 10 times more. I think head knocks are going to happen. Shut up, deal with it. It's the upside you can get from this that I find super exciting.
And that's it. You can say, as you said, it can be chosen from any position on the field. So you can have an extra number 9, an extra half, an extra fullback, whatever it might be. But my head went straight away to, we get 3 fullbacks. Yeah. And I was sort of looking there going, do I start Turbo or Ponga or Latrell or whoever it is at fullback? But then you go, we've got Iongi, who looks like a great cheapie fullback at Parramatta at bottom dollar. How are we going to do this all? Now we've got 3 of them. And as you said, Roo, you can now vice captain and captain a fullback. So, I think it's so relevant because fullback is the position where they can just belt out a 130 that you'd loop so easily. It really doesn't happen very often in any other position consistently outside of, even at halfback, it's kind of like Cleary and Nico kind of thing. But
which I don't think is the same as what it was 2 years ago now.
It's just fullbacks can do it so easily. So, it gives us that option. So it just brings the VC loop into it a little bit more. And just on top of that, in the past, when you VC looped, I very rarely did it. It's, if you do it a couple of times a season, outside of course, the major buy rounds, when you have your top 13, you're doing well. But now that we've got it, you used to do it, the VC loop, and you'd get the lowest scoring player from your entire bench, which is generally speaking a 10 or a 20 or something, a 25 if you're lucky. Now, that bottom player drops out. So it's not going to be, we're not going to see people doing it once every 3 or 4 weeks, but now that your lowest scorer drops out, which will be your AE, you then get your lowest scorer from your 17. So it just takes a little bit more risk out of it. So it'll be a little bit more frequent.
How many times do you reckon you used the VC loophole last year?
Outside of the 3 major buy rounds,
Yep.
max 2.
2, okay.
Yeah.
Outside of the major buy rounds, if I was to set the overs unders for next year at 4, do you reckon you do more or less?
I reckon with fullbacks now, I reckon you probably do it once every probably 5 rounds. So I reckon you'd nearly get, again, I'm only guessing, but I reckon you might do it 5 or 6 times a year.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be over 4.
Yeah.
I can see myself using it quite a bit. Now that you don't have that fear of the AE and someone completely bottoming out, if you've got a good squad, I'd feel pretty confident. Like, let me ask you this. Like, usually with the VC loophole, your mark to loop is, what, 130, 140?
Yeah.
Does this where does this does this lower it to 120?
Geez, the big questions on early. Really.
Yeah, oh, mate, for sure. And this is what we're here for. We're here for you guys.
Well, put it this way: if your AE would normally, let's say, you get 20 from your AE.
Yeah.
And again, that's not necessarily bad. You get rid of that person. Your next lowest scorer might be like 30.
Yeah.
So in theory, again, I'm thinking out loud. This might make no sense, but I think it does. You're probably just taking 10 off what you need from the loop. So if it used to be like a 130, you might now take a 120 because you should be getting that extra 10 or so points in your 17. That sound all right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I genuinely, and I know this will sound stupid, doing the VC working it out science, it's a science I've never been able to get off the top of my head. I always need a calculator to work it out properly.
Yeah. Where can you get that?
Yeah, well, exactly right. Go to scplaybook.com. That's where it's all at. I find it to be one of the hardest sciences to work out. I can just never get it right. I think it does lower it a little bit. I reckon I will VC loophole more than 6 times next year outside of the buy rounds. I think I'll do it quite a bit.
So especially back end of the year where you might be sitting with 21 players in your squad, but they're 21 near enough guns. And and then there's always concern of resting and all that sort of stuff. You've got 2 fullbacks. Your AE or your bottom score is probably not going to be too bad anyway in theory.
Yeah.
You've got 2 gun fullbacks. Definitely back end of the year.
Do you think, and I'm throwing a lot of questions out here that we didn't talk about pre-show in any way, shape or form, so you're getting it raw here.
I said to you like straight off the bat, like, make it a nice easy show. Even into we're still looking at
Wrong.
stuff. Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, I'm sending you off the back fence. Do you think that with the extra flex position, the extra person in your squad, do you think that'll make trades go up at all, or do you think they'll sort of keep it the same? I haven't thought about it till 4 seconds ago, but if I'm completely honest, I was just thinking about it off the dome.
Thanks, mate.
I reckon they'll probably keep it the same.
I don't see, without really thinking about it, I don't see too much reason to change the amount of trades. I'm quite happy with the amount of trades they've got at the moment. I don't think you need to add any more, and with all the injuries and HA suspensions, you don't need less.
Yeah, I think it's really well balanced at the moment. I think it's in a good spot. As you mentioned before, mate, the name that I think is going to be very relevant when it comes to fullback, Iongi, he just changes the conversation completely. I personally think in the flex position, if you don't have a fullback in there, whether their name is Iongi or a gun, I think you're doing it wrong. Do you think that's fair?
Things are going to change so much and so quickly over the preseason, but the way I look at it, it's Iongi and 2 guns.
Yeah, okay. Oh, so you are going to go him and 2 guns?
I reckon so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
What do you think?
I'm 50-50. I don't mind the idea of going 3 straight guns. Iongi, we don't know anything about him yet. We don't he looks like a talented player to me. If he was the fullback for Penrith, it's probably a different conversation. I don't know what I'm going to get out of Parramatta. I don't know. I'm interested to watch the trials. That'll probably decide a lot. But yeah, I think Iongi's going to be a good pick. I think he'll likely be good. But I want to see it first and I think the other thing to consider is like who was it? Who was the fullback for Canterbury like 2 years ago? We all had to have him, like Hayes Parham.
Yeah, and
then within 3 weeks we were like, fuck, what have we done? Like, this is ridiculous.
Iongi's bottom dollar though, 204K. Though I think from memory, Hayes was like 290 or 3 or something. Like Iongi has to average 30 to 40 to make some decent coin. It's not much.
I don't know for sure, but like Perham did average 30 odd. Like we were in all sorts there. I don't know. I think he'll. It's just one I'm interested in watching the trials. I think it'll be an interesting conversation in week 8 whether you're better off going 3 flat out guns or like if you only make 100K out of Iongi, I probably would have rather have a gun, depending on how it plays out. But yeah, we'll see for team list and everything. But an interesting conversation there. If you have Iongi, where you put him. If anyone else emerges, if you just want to go 3 straight fullback guns, I think the one thing that probably plays into Camp Iongi is that scores at the start of the season tend to be a little bit lower than they do mid-season and whatnot. So
Perham started at 370.
370, did he? Okay.
But no, I take your point.
Mate. Yeah. I think that he's a certainty he's in there. Like, don't know how he's going to go realistically. We'll see how it plays out. Anything else on flex, mate?
Nah, all good, mate.
You got any takes on it, Kathmandu?
No, I've just been taking this all in because it's obviously a new concept. I really like it, and I think the question as to whether or not it's going to increase trades is really valid because it's a whole other. I mean, it's adding a whole new.
I hope they don't.
Yeah,
I'd like to think
me
they
too.
Would, but,
I mean, it won't change anything for me.
Fair. Yeah. So flex is going to be a big talking point. I'm keen to see how it plays out as we get closer to the season.